What's going on? My name's Justin with Yard Repair, and we are visiting another shop today here in the Netherlands. We're in Rotterdam visiting SmartFIX010. And let's head on in there. Let's check it out. You already know the weather's beautiful. I'm not getting rained on. I'm not getting burnt up. It's just, look at this. It's just a beautiful, beautiful day in the Netherlands. Anyway, let's head on in here. Let's check it out. So, as you guys know, I really like to kind of show off the shops as they are. You know what I'm saying? And kind of give you guys some thoughts and ideas on maybe how you can do your repair shop. And, you know, the thing that I noticed, I'm talking about, like, look, the moment that I walked in here earlier, I remember I parked over here and I'm just coming around the corner and I step in the shop and I was completely and utterly astounded with how not only clean this place is, but just how well they put it together. Like the color scheme, the way that they have the geometry and the wood. Like, take a look at how nice this setup is. I know you guys think that maybe, oh, it's just a bunch of cases and stuff, but you know, I feel like there's a lot of generic slat wall stuff out there, and this is not that. This is not generic. Everything in here was completely custom made. I mean, you know, somebody went to IKEA. Somebody took the time to really kind of spruce this place up. You know what I'm saying? I mean, look at this. Woo, 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 woo. Coming on over. You know what I mean? Got a nice display for the phones over here. And this is kind of different. I haven't seen this before. Little bitty, like, cabinets that they've got everything stuck in up here. Just like a nice little display cabinet, right? And like I said, we come down, we have the geometry. Boom. Comes right up to the front. How about that? Take a look-see here. Got the super cool, I cannot remember the name of this thing. Display base, maybe? I can't really remember. But the deal is, you can actually, look at that. 3 different displays that you can show off. You can let people see the color. You know what I'm talking about. You come to the side, you zoom in, you take a look, see if the color's there, you know what I'm saying? You're seeing if everything's in focus, what's going on here, you know what I'm saying? Is the one blue, is the one green, is the one red? But this is actually not the most impressive thing here. I'll be honest, this big glass wall back here just blows me away. This is just a touch of detail that you really got to know that you want it. You really got to know that this is something that you want your look to kind of represent, that style. I don't know if you guys know my friend Armando from STG Repairs, but he also has a big old glass wall, and it is absolutely beautiful. Customers can see directly inside. It's kind of like that open kitchen kind of deal, you know what I'm saying, where you can see them cooking in the kitchen and everything. I've actually heard from a lot of people here in the Netherlands that that's very popular, that people really like to be able to see that kind of stuff. So it just makes sense that you see that extended into a repair shop. I mean, take a look at my boy Illy back here just sitting in the desk. He could be working on something. Actually, maybe he is. Let's sneak up on him. Dun, 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 dun. Hanging out back here doing his thing, you know what I'm saying? Well, anyway, I've spent enough time out here. There's a very important question that I came here to answer. So let's head back here. Let's talk to Illy. Let's see what he's got for me. Let's see if we can help him out. You know what I'm saying? Let's do it. By the way, if you don't mind giving me a minute or two before we move on, let's talk for a second. My name's Justin from the Art of Repair, and I'd like to show off some footage from the repair course I'm currently doing in the Netherlands. It's a culmination of all my channel content plus unreleased techniques and knowledge brought together in a start-to-finish type scenario where I make sure you don't miss anything important and you learn the skills needed to grow as an electronics repair tech, be it in my level 1 or 2 course or even in my level 2 to 3 bootcamp course. This right here, this is the Art of Repair course that everyone's been asking me about doing for the last few years. So, a little about the course. Like I said, there will be a level 1 and 2 course, which will cover the software as well as the proper staging and technique required to take apart and put together really anything you want. This basics course contains a surprising amount of fundamental level 3 training and science that I think that, you know, most other schools just kind of leave out. I'm putting it all in there because I believe in teaching repair through a level 3 lens. It's a pillar of the Art of Repair methodology. Now, I think more interesting to most of you will be my level 2 to 3 course, which overlaps the last class with a primer on aspects of level 2 repair that directly correlate to your level 3 skills. You will learn the hand skills needed to complete most of the soldering repairs you encounter, as well as truly understanding why I think my techniques are a true art form. Alongside turning you into a soldering artist,
you'll learn enough electrical theory to get you around town and back out again. You will be surprised how far understanding a few simple concepts will fully change your repair game. Honestly, I can't even wait to teach these courses because it allows me to be my authentic self and share with the repair community. I really hope to see you in there.
So, I came here today for a reason, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't just come here to show off your shop. You know what I mean? Curiously enough, you did have a question for me, and we've actually been talking all day about this, guys. Like, I've been here for hours and hours and hours, and normally the way that I do this stuff is I'll spend the entire day with you guys, and we'll solve the problem. But the big thing for me is I really want to make sure that we get the issue across to everybody else, so that if you are having the same problem, the same issue, that we can solve it right here, right now, and have this conversation. So what exactly was your question, Illy?
Well, the last couple of years, my company grew really fast, and we are now at a point that we have to hire new employees, and we have a lot of milling repairs. So I like the new employees that come in, I like them to learn them, bring them from level 2 repair to level 3 as soon as possible. And well, I need a little bit advice on how to manage the learning curve of the new employee.
Okay, so when I first read the question and I was just kind of going through the entries of the people that wanted me to come visit and everything, I always get a preconceived notion before I actually come to the place, and normally I'm just like, oh, I've got the answer for this, I've got the answer for that. But this question was really special because it's actually something that I've been thinking really, really hard about for a long time. And, even after coming in here, I noticed that this entire shop is a level 3 board repair shop. And to be honest, I didn't know that before I came in. Whenever I come do this stuff, it's just like, hey, let's show up, let's see what happens, and let's see if we can solve the problem, right? So, when I came in here, I noticed that you already had all of the level 3 stuff here, right? And, in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, this is a training situation. This is trying to figure out how to pass on the skills that you already had. And I know that there are a lot of you out there that already are doing microsoldering, right? This is something that you're doing all the time, but the problem you have is scalability. It's scaling it to your other employees, right? And I think this comes back to a very, very core concept that for the art of repair, I think is going to be I would say it's going to be a cornerstone of how I do things moving forward. And that really comes to this point. When you are training somebody for level 2, level 3 repair, and this goes for everybody who's listening right now, anybody who's listening right now, I can't speak, sorry guys. They come in and they spend a couple weeks doing the level 2 repair. They learn how to do the iPhones. They learn how to do the Samsungs. And during this time, they are introduced. Actually, they either are or are not. But if they're introduced to microsoldering at this point, it's kind of given to them in this big wall, right? And they would be right here with the level 2. And instead of it being like a small hump that they gradually go up and get into as they would with a normal skill, it is presented in a big wall kind of thing. Like you're joining the military, you've got to run up this wall, you're climbing up the rope, and you're just sitting there like, I can't do that. You know what I mean? And that I can't do that is ingrained into the employee from day one. Be it through just watching the owner as yourself sitting here doing these really crazy repairs, looking at schematics, looking at board views, while they're sitting there doing these really basic repairs, and for them it's like, wow, this is blowing my mind. I genuinely think that everybody needs to be teaching, if you have the capability, if you are a microsoldering tech and you want to bring somebody on, you need to be teaching repair through a level 3 lens. Now, what does that mean? That means you're actually teaching them from day one through the microscope. Now, I don't necessarily mean that you're letting them start microsoldering from day one. Clearly there is some theoretical and fundamentals that need to be conquered, right? But giving them a clear, short path up the deal, that's kind of where it comes in, right? So
what is the very first thing that you can do? Well, and this kind of comes to another cornerstone thing that I've been, I'm really going to try and push here with the art of repair is the very, very first tool that you ever buy, or not even that you buy, you buy if you were, somebody coming in to repair, but the very first tool that you should be letting them get used to is your microscope, man. Like genuinely and truly, if they come and sit down, and this is something we were having a conversation about today. Like I said, guys, we've been here for hours and hours and hours. I got here at 9 o'clock. It's almost 5 o'clock right now, and we've been talking about this. And something that Illy said, just out of his own volition, was that every time any device comes across my desk, I like to poke at it in the microscope. That's it right there. You know what I mean? You're comfortable in your microscope, right? Where if you're listening right now and you've even attempted to do microsoldering, you already know right in front of you there's this blockade of even looking through a microscope where you're just trying to figure out how to figure out where your eyes go, how to make the thing happen, how to get rid of the big black circle and everything like that. And getting over that fear immediately, right from the jump, where you're saying, hey, if you're working on like a screen repair, why don't you look inside the device with a microscope just for fun? You know what I mean? Just for fun, to get them kind of used to it right off the bat. Now, with that being said, at that point, we talked a little bit, and this is some more stuff that we'll continue to go down the road of. Repair is kind of broken down into hand skills and brain skills, okay? And a lot of people assume that microsoldering is one skill in the same, and that would be the skill of microsoldering with your hands and doing board level diagnostics with your brain. These two skills do not evolve or grow at the same time. Usually the board level diagnostics is actually a little bit tougher because it is theory. It's learning to read things in I guess the word is like infer, or I'm losing the word right now, but you have to infer the actual data from other data. Whereas if you teach somebody the hand skills first and let them know what's going on the board, then they're going to be in a much better position to be able to learn it going forward. An example of this, this is again just something that we were talking through the day about here, is that if you can get somebody's hand skills to be top, right? You get them all the way through BGA. Maybe you teach them to deal with underfill, to deal with some of these other really difficult concepts to deal with. Then when they decide or feel like they can apply one of their actual like brain diagnostics to something, you're removing half of the what if, right? And a lot of times there's this big what if. What if I damaged the board by just working on it? What if the diagnosis was wrong? Let's just remove one half of that right off the bat. Okay, what if I didn't do this right? Well, we don't have to worry about that anymore. Okay, so with that, you've got an employee now who from the get-go is learning these level 2 repairs through this level 3 lens, looking through a microscope, getting comfortable in the microscope, and then a couple weeks in, you start to see that this employee is starting to notice things on the board. You can even tell them, be like, hey, did you see that connector? Did you see how it's connected? You can literally walk up to him and be like, hey, look, there's like a nice little connector here that does this, and you can talk a little bit about it, right? And as that skill grows and as they start to get those hand skills, you can start to easily pass off some of this scalable work, okay? And what is scalable work? Scalable work are things where there's not heavy diagnosis. We would call them like signature issues, right? Things that, for the most part, are just y'all know what I was going to say. I just caught my hand skills. I straight almost got myself, bro. That one was funny. Anyway, so, at these points, you can kind of pass off these hand skill type jobs. And, they can start to get even more comfortable with that, right? And as they become more comfortable with these types of jobs that you're handing them, then say, for instance, let's give everybody an example. So let's say you spend 2 weeks working on somebody's basic hand skills and you feel like they've gotten most of the stuff down. They can do connectors, they can do charge ports, 1 through 3 jointed components, all these little baby things they've kind of knocked out of the park. They're really good at it. But, they're sitting there and they're like, but I don't really have any board level diagnosis skills yet. Okay.
So at that point, you can start to slowly feed them this information. I think that there is a lot of misinformation out there when it comes to actual diagnosis. And I don't want you to raise your hand. I just want you to think to yourself, if you're listening to this right now, have you ever told somebody that there was a short in the phone and you have no idea what a short is? You don't have to comment. I'm not calling anybody out here, but this, along with things like, the tech fuse is broken and these weird things that you're kind of making up on the spot. And I'm comfortable enough to tell you that you're making this stuff up on the spot, because for the most part, people are making it up. They don't really know the answer. There's like a tech ego thing going on. And what you could be doing after they've learned these skills is slowly educating people on what those different things are. One of the things that we talked about earlier is that for the most part, there's only a handful of different little components that people are really messing with on a daily, you know what I mean? Like, if we're talking about resistors, capacitors, MOSFETs, ICs, and how they turn on, how all that stuff happens, it's actually not that big of a deal if it's broken down over time. You could spend an entire week with somebody and just be talking about shorts on a board and just do casual conversation. Now, this casual conversation I was talking about is, say for instance, as an example, something comes in and it's got just some sort of image issue. Okay, well let's just call it an image issue or a backlight issue. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be any issue whatsoever. The very first thing we're going to do here is we're going to run through basic diagnostics through the level 2 stuff. Mm-hmm. Then at that point, we're going to deboard the phone. Once you've deboarded the phone, at that point, they can come to you and you can actually work the diagnostics part with the employee or the employee, the technician, whatever you want to call it. You can work that out with them, right? And once you two together come to an agreement on what the next step is, and part of this is having the person explain it back to you, okay? One of the reasons that I really like to teach is because I think that teaching is the ultimate path to learning, okay? If whoever you are talking to, the small conversation, because, we talked about, what is a shorted capacitor? If you know and you're watching, you know the answer in a second and you can explain it to me. But if you don't, you're going to make something up off the top of your head and it's not really going to make much sense. So if you know the answer, the true answer of what a short is and how a short happens, then as you teach that to them, have them explain it back to you and have them go do that part of the job. Now you've got that confidence, because I know that a lot of people out there, and this is really, I'm talking to microsolderers right now. I'm talking about the people that want to scale their businesses, that want to teach this to somebody, and they're a perfectionist. You're a perfectionist, aren't you, Illy?
Guilty.
It hurts you to watch somebody else work on a board that you may have to pay for.
Yeah.
Like, do you have any thoughts on that? Like, just your thoughts to the people.
Well, it's really difficult to give somebody the control of boards and repairs of the customer, because I think every client, every customer is really important for me. And especially in this phase that I have a new shop, and I cannot make any mistakes. So I take all the repairs I take very seriously. So and I'm also a bit of a control freak. So it's very difficult for me to let people work on customer boards. But
so with that. With that little bit of information right there, I'm curious, how many of you can relate to that? How many of you can relate to being a perfectionist, somebody that doesn't really want to let the control go? I 100% agree with you right now. For me, as Justin from The Art of Repair, like, I really feel like I want to kind of control what's happening in the soldering process. And when I see somebody doing it wrong, I just want to reach in there and just fix the situation. And I have to step back sometimes and think, oh wow, you need to let this person actually do that. That's why, if we bring this all the way back, if those hand skills are absolutely perfect, they're strong, like, that you could turn around and do your thing and they could change the chip. They could split a sandwich interposer.
you'd feel so much more confidence inside, because it's not that you're worried that they're not going to figure out the problem. It's that they're going to mess up the board in the process, and they're going to make you look bad, right?
And I think that's like 70% of all the work that we have lying here is the simple things. So if somebody masters the basic soldering techniques, I think it takes a lot of work from me. So that would be very nice.
So the big deal, and if you want to kind of condense this thing down, is, and actually I kind of want to talk about something else for just a second that kind of leads into this. If my brain runs like 100 miles an hour, we actually talked earlier about practical repair, right? Practical repair has its place, but I think when you learn a lot of these shortcut methods and these shortcut diagnostic steps, it prevents you from really learning the breadth of repair, right? Of, you know, sitting down and saying, I don't care if this is a Samsung, I don't care if this is an Android, I don't care if this is an iPhone, I don't care if this is some other random weird brand, I don't care if this is some electronic that doesn't even have an S on it. You know what I'm saying? I want to fix that. And you know, a lot of the practical learning out there doesn't really cover everything as a whole. So, you know, when I talk about hand soldering skills, there's a lot more to that. You know what I mean? Like getting into each individual level and learning that process. The good news is I've basically made all this information available on my channel, and you can literally just go through it and learn the stuff. But if you could trust somebody to do the process behind your back, would you?
Well, it's hard, but I have to.
Like if you knew they knew how to do it with their hands.
Oh yeah, of course. If I would trust them, it would always be not really a good feeling. But on some point, I would, yes.
Because at some point you have to.
Yeah.
If not, and this is kind of where it all leads, you either want to be a one-man army for the rest of your career, or you want to teach and spread this information and help the industry grow, as well as you want to help your business grow, right? So focus on those hand skills, literally, like let them try it. You know, like we were actually talking a little bit earlier and saying, you know, once you feel like they've got those hand skills down, you can go buy a $20 iPhone 4 and they can actually do all of those things on a live device. And, you know, just for everybody listening, a $20 iPhone 4 is basically the same as, you know, some brand new iPhone, you know, 12, 13, whatever comes out. Whenever you're watching it, if there's an iPhone 20, all this information is going to be the exact same. You know what I mean? So let them get those hand skills, work with them one-on-one with those diagnostic skills so that you're walking them through the process. And then at some point, and here's the key, guys, at some point when they come over to talk about the situation, the hope is that they're just going to explain it to you. Because at some point, you'll have talked to them so much that, what did I do to you all day? I asked you this one specific question. I said, so what would you do next? And let me tell you guys what he told me every single time. The first thing he told me was some right? And then the second time after we had a conversation, I don't know if you realize, but the entire day, I basically did to you what I'm asking you to do to everybody else. The second time I asked him, after I explained it in detail to him and I made sure he understood the content, he had the answer immediately. He was good. Actually, interesting enough, you know, while I'm usually in the shops all day, I really like to kind of just say, you know, what else is it that you want to learn here today? What else is it that you want to talk about? We talked about a lot of stuff today. Do you want to let them know some of the things that you learned today that you didn't know before?
Well, we talked about a lot about business like advice. It was very valuable for me. Thank you for that. And some kind of technical problems we talked about. For example, I really hate XR repairs, board repairs, and because of the shields. The shields are very high temperature solder So that was a really hard thing for me, and we tried some different techniques together.
We made it easy, didn't we?
Yeah.
How do you feel? Okay, so when I met this man, you know, and this is kind of a common occurrence, you know, there's always like a little question on the back of everybody's mind that they really like, they want to ask, right? And I as I was talking to him earlier, he kind of was like, well, I have this iPhone X, and the first thing I always tell people is, I'm not going to fix your boards for you. I'm not fixing them. He goes, well, wait a minute. Like, I really need to ask this question. And I said, okay. And he just literally says to me, you know, like, how do I get this shield off properly? And, you know, the truth is, if you don't know, it's a pain in the ass, right? It's a total pain in the butt. Like, you were trying to cut it a little bit. You were kind of going around there doing the nippers and stuff. But to bring back this whole conversation to this one specific topic about proper hand skills, the very moment that it was explained thermodynamically and through the soldering process, it was a very easy process to take it off. I remember as we were kind of doing this that he literally said to me, I don't think this is, and it's separated right in front of him. Do you guys see the smile on this man's face? It's separated right in front of him, and he was like, oh, and it worked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So anyway, this video has gone on for a super long time. Please make sure you take the time to listen through this, because there's a lot of good information. If you are a microsolderer or you are just trying to scale that out, take a listen, try it out, trust your people. Give them a chance, you know what I'm saying? So with that being said, my name's Justin with The Art of Repair. This is my boy Illy, and we will catch y'all next time.
Okay, so I'm actually about to head out here real quick, but we were having one little conversation here at the end, and I'm actually just curious to share this with you guys. What did you expect versus what you actually got today?
Okay, so what I expected was it was more about the video that you are going to make, and more about the content for you to make and for mobile parts or for your own channel.
Right.
But what it actually was like really genuine and I don't know how to say it in English.
Tell them in Dutch.
Okay.
Tell them in Dutch.
Echt oprechte interesse en oprecht advies over van alles. En dat is me echt positief bevallen. En ik vind het gewoon hartstikke top, man.
Well, I'll take the little thing as this was a good time, but, you know, genuinely myself, I had a fantastic time today, and, you know, I just really love coming to repair shops, visiting, seeing how you guys do things. It means a lot to me, and, you know, it really means a lot to hear what people think about the situation, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I really appreciate you sharing that, man, and I hope you had a good time today.
A lot.
Hell
Thanks.
Yeah, dude, right on, man. Well, for real, if you haven't already, make sure you like, subscribe, do a little notification thing, you know what I'm saying? But I gotta hit the road, so I'm about to head on out. I'll catch you later.